Can you hear me? All right, very good. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Judiciary Non-Civil, bright and early on this Thursday. We'll go ahead and begin the meeting at this time. So now at this point in time, we'll proceed with the substitute to House Bill 720. If I could just give a little preamble here to the bill, the substitute that's before you. This was heard in the Setzler Subcommittee on Tuesday this week, and this substitute includes almost all of the changes that were passed as amendments. There were two issues that were noticed in the final draft, and the first one, I'll just point them out to you. The first one is on line 82, and this is your chairman's failure for failing to communicate this to Legislative Council. So this is on me, I apologize, but it's striking "or second," which was an amendment that was passed, which I caught after the fact, and that was already voted on. The next amendment is on page 9 at the bottom, line 308, striking "a qualified offense" and inserting "life as provided for in Code Section 17-10-6.2, which was the amendment that we had agreed to. We were striking some language from a previous edit of that statute, actually D. And because we are removing new language, D has now come out of the bill. It doesn't need to be amended. So that's the reason you don't see it here. All right, I just want to make sure that explanation was given. So Representative Saines, we will recognize you at this time to present the substitute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate all members of this committee who have worked extensively with me and with the interested parties in making sure this is a sound bill that restores some level of the compliance tools our state has utilized in ensuring that some of our most vulnerable potential victims do not become victims in terms of sexual offenses. This bill addresses the need for electronic monitoring of felony level recidivist sexual offenders. Through the use, through the Park v. State decision, we lost some ability to utilize electronic monitoring through our local sheriff's offices. What this bill does is ensure that we retain that tool in a very sound way by allowing when that recidivist, when there is two occurrences of a felony level conviction, that that offender has a life probation sentence placed. We have, I think, one of the strongest additions to this bill that came through the sound work of Defense Association, the Review Board, Board of Pardons and Parole, and DCS, is the automatic review of these individuals after 10 years on probation to ensure that the state is reviewing the need for this. This allows judicial discretion at a time where that judge has database information, because we know that a sexual offender is most likely to reoffend within a period of around 5 years. So this allows for us to have the applicable information to ensure that we're not taking a tool that allows for the safety of Georgians away prematurely, but also not putting not continuing this life probation on individuals that aren't seen to be a risk for reoffense and through the infrastructure that this state has in place. There's several additional items that this bill addresses. The review council that levels the potential of an offender to recidivize. I think the subcommittee got some great information about the need for them to have the applicable information to make a fair determination on that risk, and this bill allows them to make that additional information. There was a issue heard in committee, of course, with protecting some of the ability for the Board of Pardons and Parole to conduct their investigation while allowing the Review Council to have the information they need. They worked with each other throughout the day, and you see an amendment, a modification on, I apologize, I'm referencing referencing LC 480205S. Give me 1 second. I think this is an important section to bring to the attention. It is on lines 191 through 197. That modification was made, and it is has been okayed with the board and the Board of Pardons and Parole and the Review Board in meeting both of their requirements. With that, I think there's a lot the bill addresses in terms of the sexual review kits. That I'll let the chairman made the amendment to add it on. If there's any, there didn't seem to be any issues with that in committee, so I'll let it stand unless there's questions for that.
Thank you, Representative Saines. I'm chairing the meeting for just a minute here, and it looks like Chairman Setzler would like to speak on this.
Mr. Chairman, just from a subcommittee perspective, it did move forward with a do-pass recommendation. We find ourselves here on Legislative Day 25 with this bill for a reason, because there's been considerable work done on it from where it started to where it ended. And in essence, the amendments that are reflected here that were put on in subcommittee that would differ than what the last version that was offered in subcommittee was that there was some offenses that if they were the second offense, sex offenses, but the underlying offense would be not a felony. In some cases, they were misdemeanors of a high and aggravated nature, and there were one or two select felonies that are less likely to be actually brought as one of these underlying offenses. Those were removed by amendment. I think there's a desire to advance this concept for a second offense of serious sexual offenses to be able to, again, get this life probation. But there was some tweaking of that in subcommittee to kind of maintain the spirit of the bill and maintain proportionality. And there was also a change, Mr. Chairman, that those who've been following this bill would perhaps appreciate with respect to the Halloween provisions, that in fact it would be law enforcement, should they choose to put one of these notification signs at the residence of an offender. It would be law enforcement's duty to place that. There was some discussion about a First Amendment compelled speech interest in some of the other versions, and that was taken out by subcommittee.
Thank you, Chairman Setzler. Is there any other discussion by the committee members? Okay. Mr. Saines, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I think the discussion apparently was winded through in the five-hour subcommittee meeting we had 2 days ago. I don't think anyone wants to miss their lunch here but I just want to restate that what this bill accomplishes is ensuring that there's sound tools for our law enforcement agencies to ensure that we don't have unnecessary victims in this state because of the ability to ensure compliance of sexual offenders. As Chairman Setzler said, the modifications made to this bill add to that objective of balancing the primary intention of this bill, which is ensuring all individuals of this state can feel that our agencies aren't unduly or unnecessarily restricted in measures that protect their communities, with balancing any punitive action that has no data-based rationality to it. So I think that this is. I appreciate the work again of this committee and appreciate the consideration.
Okay, I'm no longer in control. I think we're done discussing. Yeah, we're done.
All right, very good. So at this point in time, we will take a motion. I'll hear a motion on this bill if there is one.
I will move to pass.
All right, there's a motion to pass on House Bill 720, LC 480205S. We previously heard I previously outlined the amendments, but at this point in time, we'll just make a chairman's amendment on line 80 to remove or second, and on line 308, remove a qualified offense and replace it with life as provided for in Code Section 17-10-6.2. Is there any objection to the chairman's amendment? All right, hearing none, the bill is amended. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I was trying to be sure we were added to the notifications.
Yes, yes, so that is on lines.
Okay, all right, was that
Are you, is that the handwritten item? What line are you referring to?
229. 229. You're in.
We're in there, okay, mine didn't have it in there. I'll
Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it's in there. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah, and that was an
Been a
amendment
while.
in, okay.
thank you.
Clarification for everybody. So that amendment was made and passed in subcommittee, and that is reflected. All right, well, I read it this morning and saw it. Let me look again.
229. Are you working on LC 480205S?
Yes,
Oh,
Line 229.
Board of Pardons and Parole?
We had 0205 in our folders.
Yeah, there was a handout of the sub was handed out.
Oh, I'm working on 02.
I had two versions.
All right, time out. All right, so the only amendment that we had in subcommittee to add the Board of Pardons and Paroles is reflected, and just please listen to me, everyone, is reflected in line 229. That was the only amendment that I had. There was not another amendment that would have added the Board of Pardons and Paroles to line 214. If you desire to do so, now's the appropriate time to seek to do so. We all have the same copy right now. It's
So they're not on 214.
is this for a motion or is it for an amendment?
Just to clarify. Question, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I wanted to confirm, the chair, of course, is right on this, that it was added on 229, not on 214. I have no interest in offering an amendment personally, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't sure if there was a question as to the technical effect, should an amendment be offered. I don't know what adding that to 214 would do.
All right, Ms. Rocker, you want to, do you have an opinion as to whether or not it should be added?
We can work with SORB to get notifications, and we don't need to hold up the process.
Okay.
I'll defer to the.
All right, is there any, all right, so another chairman's amendment after Department of Corrections, add the Board of Pardons and Paroles, comma, or. Any,
Move.
or I'm sorry, not the or, Mr. Lanier, and some license for Mr. Lanier to clean that up, but the Board of Pardons and Paroles, comma. Any objection? All right, so that's added then to line 214. Then finally, there was some compromise language that was negotiated between SORB and, which has probably already been covered when I was out of the room, and so just for clarity process here, any objection to that amendment? All right, hearing none, that's adopted as well. Any other amendments? Chairman Cooper, if we can vote real quick with that, if that's all right. All right, all those in favor of House Bill 720, the committee substitute as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, we'll see hands. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed? 2, 3. 6 to 3. It passes on to rules. If you would please complete a rules form.